All right, this is this week's Torah HafTorah portion, HafTorah reading. This is the in the weeks of comforting the Jewish people for the destruction of the temple, which began on Tisha B'Av. And this is the last of the comforting messages of Isaiah the prophet. And as you remember, really in the prophecies where they were of retribution and God's anger, it always had one or two sentences over there about how God is going to gather the Jews back to Israel, back to Jerusalem, back to Zion, wake up the Jews and the Jewish people, and etc. So that pretty much stresses, the fact that the Moshiach has to be someone that will strengthen Jewish identity and gather the Jews back to the Holy Temple, rebuild the Holy Temple back to Jerusalem. In other words, to strengthen Jewish identity, not to scatter them around and etc., to do the opposite. So Isaiah is pretty much fortifying the fact that all of the people who misuse his prophecies to indicate that some usurper is who basically that's idolatry to even think so. But here you see that the main stress over here is the Jewish people, the nation, the Jewish nation. And the Jewish nation, what's a Jewish nation? Anybody who wants to. It's a person who's, the Torah decides, his mother is Jewish, or a person that converted according to Jewish law. That's the Jewish nation. And anything other than that is destroying the identity of the Jewish nation. There's no Jewish nation. Anybody who wants to come in. It's like a country with no borders. Huh? Anybody who wants to come in is just, So this is the seventh week of comfort. Here's the comforting message. So now the Jewish people, they're responding back to all these messages of comfort. Sos osis b'Hashem. Rejoice, I will rejoice in God. Togel nafshi be'elokai, and my soul will be exulting in my God. He'll be shani bigdei yesha, because he gave me garments of salvation. Me'il tzedakah ya'atani. He put a garment of charity, he has wrapped me, covered me. Kechatan yechahen pa'er, like a groom that he is like, I just say, put on a garment of priesthood, and like a bride that puts on also her beautiful vessels and ornaments. So will be the Jewish people. Ki ka'aretz totzi tzimcha, just like a land that brings forth its growth. Ukagana, and like a garden, zruah tatzmiach, that its plants and flowers grow up. Kain Hashem Elokim, also God, the Lord, yatzmiach tzedakah, will give forth his charity and his, justice, tzedek, v'tehila, and praises neged kol hagoyim, in front of all of the nations. So here we see Isaiah is pointing out that the whole idea of the redemption is not going to heaven. The whole idea of the redemption is fortifying and strengthening the idea of the Jewish people here in the physical world, and bringing them back to, in fact, he doesn't mention going to heaven at all. Salvation is in this physical world. The gathering of the Jews together so that they do the will of God. That's salvation. Laman Tzion, for the sake of Zion, of the Jewish people, or of Jerusalem, or of Israel. Zion means different things. Lo echasher, I will not be quiet. Ulaman Yerushalayim, and for the sake of Jerusalem, lo eshkot, I won't be silent. Ad yetzei kanoga tzidka, until there comes out like shining. It's it's justice and its righteousness. B'Yeshuatah, and its salvation, kalapid yaboyer, will burn like a torch. But Ra'u Goyim, and the nations will see tzidkeich, the justice and the righteousness of the Jewish people. V'kol malachim, and all the kings of the world, the rulers of the world, kabodech, will see your glory, Jewish people, Israel. V'kor lach shem chadash, and the Jewish people will be called a new name. Asher pi Hashem yikavenu, that God is going to decide what this new name is. What's the new name going to be? We'll see in a second. So let's put this over here. There we go. God is going to make this new name. What's going to be the new name of the Jewish people? Here we go. Vayit ateret tiferet, and you will be like a crown of glory in the hand of God. What it means in the hand of God means that just like God is eternal, so the glory of the Jews will be eternal. It won't be cast down anymore, and we won't be just another member in the United Nations and cowering down in front of everybody, and we're nothing special. We're just like you. But tzanif malucha, and like some people say that tzanif means like a garment, like a veil or a scarf, and others say it means like some sort of ornaments, and ornaments of kingship. B'kaf elokayach, in the hand of in the palm of your God. You will not be called azuva. The Jewish people will not be called an abandoned nation. There's all these religions, the Christians, the Muslims say God left the Jews, that maybe the one time they used to be. It won't be said anymore. And to the land of Israel, lo yamar od, it won't be called shemama, it won't be called desolate. Ki lach yikarei, because the Jewish people will be called Hefziba. That's the new name. Hefziba. It will be desired in it. The Jewish people and the land of Israel will be a place that's desirous. Lo yamar lach and into your land, it will be called Bu'ula. It will be called like married. Bu'ula also means, here he says it means that you'll have, the land will be worked on. But Bu'ula really means a sexual connection. In other words, a husband with a wife, so they're unified. So it'll be called, the land of Israel will be called unified with God. People will see that the land of Israel has a husband. But here he says also it means that the land of Israel won't be barren anymore. Like it says here, it won't be barren, right? But it'll be desired. The Jewish people will be desired, right? You won't be, it'll be desired. And the land will be visited. It will be fertile. Because God likes you. And the land of Israel, Tiva'al, will be fertile, will be fertilized. Fertile by just like a young groom gets married to a virgin bride, Yevaluch Bonayech, so also the Jewish people, they will be visiting and united with the land of Israel. In this case, the Jewish people, they'll be like the husband, and the land will be the family, Mother Earth, right? Just like a groom is happy on his bride because of his bride, right? A wedding is a very happy thing. Yasis alayach elokayach, your God will be happy with you. Yasis alayach elokayach. Al chamotayach Yerushalayim, on your walls, Jerusalem. Hivkarati shomrim, I will make guards. The city won't be open anymore. It won't be, how do you say, like any other city in the world. Kol hayom, kol halayla, all the day and all the night. Tamid lo yachashu, it will not be silent. The world will understand that the land of Israel is guarded. Listen, it's pretty much guarded now. If you think about it, just a couple months ago, the Arabs, the Hamas, which the Israeli government put them there, they shot 1,000 missiles. You know what that means? 1,000 missiles. Imagine if Canada would shoot one missile the United States, right? Or the American Indians would shoot one missile at, the government of New Mexico. That'd be it, right? Here we have these Arabs that they're sworn to kill us. They admit it everywhere, and they shot 1,000 missiles at us, and nothing happened. And of course, the world, they blame us. In any case, we will never be silent anymore. You see what goes on, in the United Nations. I hate to say these things, but it's just so obviously absurd. In the United Nations, they're always, condemning Israel, and Israel just sits there and say, no, we're nice people. We never did anything wrong, right? And they should be saying, who are you guys? Who are you guys? We're quitting this organization. What type of organization is this? You want to condemn us? Condemn us when we're not here. You don't want to hear us anyway. Tami lo yachashu. The Rebbe, Lubavitcher Rebbe, once said that the United Nations is 70 wolves and one sheep. Hamazkirin et Hashem. Those people who mention God's name, al tamilachem, never be silent. Never be silent. Let's go back to the same thing. The Rebbe said that someone should stand up in the United Nations and say, the land of Israel belongs to God. It's God's land. It doesn't belong to you. It doesn't belong to anyone. It doesn't belong to the Jews. If it belonged to us, we could give it away. It doesn't. It belongs to God. God creates you. If you have any problems saying that the land belongs to Israel, just take it up with God. Don't take it up with us. It's God's land. The fact of the matter is, there was one person, Bibi Netanyahu, once stood up and he said that, and he got a standing ovation. And then he went back in Israel and gave him back half of Shechem. Anyway, what are you going to do? Don't stop mentioning God's name. I'm sorry, I skipped the line. Don't be silent. Al yakonen v'ad. Don't be like quiet forever. Vasim et Yerushalayim. You should put Jerusalem. Tehila ba'oretz. It should be a praise for the whole entire world. Let me just have a look over here. If this is right, how I translate this. I went over it, but forget this. Here we go. 1 second. One moment. What is this? Oh, I'm in the wrong place. Just 1 second. Give me a second. Give me one. Yes. That's it. Okay. Here he says, no, I was wrong. The translation. That's what I thought. Don't be quiet until ad yakonen, until God firmly makes a firm foundation. Ad yasim et Yerushalayim, until he makes Jerusalem, until God makes Jerusalem a praise for the whole entire world. Don't be quiet. Keep mentioning the name of God. Keep praising God, etc., until he makes Jews the praise of the world. Right. Well, the fact is, Nishba Hashem, that God has sworn by his right hand and his his powerful arm, if I will never give your produce to your enemies. It used to be the enemies would conquer the land of Israel. They would take all the grains and everything like that. Ve'im yishtu b'nei nechor tiroshcha, and the strangers, your enemies, will not drink your wine that you worked at it, that you made an effort. That's right. That you toiled. Ki ma'asafav yochlenu, the people, you Jews, that gather up your grain, you'll eat it, and you will praise God. Umekabtzav, and those who gathered up the grapes, yishtu, they will drink it. Bechatzros kodesh, here we go. Bechatzros kodshi, in my holy courtyards. Pretty good. Now God is saying to the non-Jews, Ivru bisharim, go pass through the gates. In other words, all the non-Jews, those people who don't, non-Jews can live in Israel, but they have to accept on the seven Noahide commandments. So it says all of the non-Jews, all the people in Israel, go through the gates, panu derech am, and clean the way off. Clean off the roads. Solo amasilu, pave the streets, pave the The highways. Oh, there we go. Let's make it this thing. Shalom Uvracha. So pave the ways, Hamasila of the highways, Salku Mevan, remove all the stones and all the things. Harimu Nes, lift up big flags, Ala Amim, to all of the nations. Flags on all the nations. Maybe these are the Moshiach flags. In any case, raise up the flags. Hine Hashem Hishmia et Katzei Ha'oretz. God is announcing to the very ends of the world. What's he say? Imru Labasion, say to the daughters of Zion, in other words, the Jewish people, Hine, Yish'ech bo, your salvation has come. Mashiach. Hine Scharo Ito, and his reward is with him. His wages with him. Pulato Lefanav, and his wage, his reward is with him. What does it mean? He's going to give whoever deserves it, whoever deserves, and whoever not. V'koru Am Kadosh, the Jewish people will be called a holy nation. Ge'ulei Hashem, the ones who were redeemed by God, just like it wasn't going out of Egypt. Ulach yikarei durusha, and you will be called sought after. Ir lo ne'azava, the Jerusalem will be called not a city which has been abandoned. Hey, you see what's going on in Jerusalem now. I mean, it's just the biggest embarrassment. They have one big section called the Arab section of Jerusalem, and then they have the, what is it called, the Armenian section, and then there's the Christian section. How did they get this? What connection did they got to the Holy Land? It was given to them by people who simply don't want to talk about God, So it's saying over here, listen, come on, let's put everything in its proper place. There's a big world, and all these other people, they can live wherever they want to. But Jerusalem is a holy place, and it's for the holy people. It's for the Jews are holy. Right? That's what's going to be in the future. The Jews will be holy, despite what. Now we're getting to the how do you say the action part? The action part. Edom. Now Edom is, in simply language, it's the church. Edom is Rome. We are now in what's called the fourth exile. Some people, the third exile. Anyway, the last exile. The last exile is in Rome. And that's in the vision of Daniel. This is the vision. This is Rome. Rome is the last power that's subjugating and the Jews spiritually and physically. Which that's basically, the whole. It's not just Rome itself, and not just the Catholics. It's the whole business, right? The whole entire Christian religion is usually that's Edom. Yishmael is the Arabs and the Muslims. They're not such a big problem as Edom is. They're not such a big problem. And I guess one of the main reasons is because their religion was made up by a non-Jew. Muhammad was a non-Jew. And Christianity was made up by a renegade Jew, and that's much worse. In any case, whatever the course is, this is what's going to happen to them. Who is coming from Edom? Chamutz begadim mibatzra. The soiled garments from Batzra. Zeh hadur belavusho. This one is majestic in his garments. Who's coming from there? The one who's just a tzoeh barov kocho, and he is girded with abundant strength. This tzoeh, here he says it means he's striding with tremendous power. Ani medaber b'tzedakah, Rav Loshia. I am the one that is speaking about righteousness. I have tremendous ability to save. All the enemies in the world can be against you, and God in one instant. God took the Jews out of Egypt. They didn't have any weapons. They didn't have anything. Madua Adom lelavusheich. Why are your garments all red? Why are your garments? Ubegadav kadorach begad. It's like you have been treading in a wine vat. Pura darachti levadi. I have tread on the wine. Pura is like an amount, a measure of wine. I got this wine on my own. Me'amim ein ishiti. There was nobody that was with me. In other words, God is saying, I'm going to take care of business on my own. On my own. Who is he taking business? The enemies of the Jews. It's a very interesting thing. The 6-day war was a tremendous miracle. 6-day war, we won the 6-day war. But we won the 6-day war with, there were natural means used. There's no doubt about it. We had planes and we had this. It's just that every single missile hit exactly, and the pilots, they flew, 3 days in a row without going to sleep. Jets, you can't do anything like that. But nevertheless, we won. But the Yom Kippur War, God fought on his own. All of a sudden, the Egyptians broke through on the south, and the Syrians broke through on the north, and there was nothing stopping them. There was nothing between them and Jerusalem. And for no understandable reason whatsoever, there's all these theories, but they don't really hold water. They stopped. They just stopped. Some say they thought it was a trick, it was too easy, whatever it was. So this is an example of how God can fight the whole battle on his own. God did the whole thing on his own. The same thing, like I said, just 3 months ago, they shot 1,000 missiles at us, right? So the Iron Dome, it stopped like 500 of them or something. So there's still 500 missiles that are unaccounted for. And let's say 300 of them, they were misfires or whatever. So there's 200 missiles. Who stopped them? And it was 5 years ago, they shot 4,500 missiles at us. You know that, 4,500? And they say, well, Iron Dome took down 700. So that means there's like 3,800 missiles unaccounted for. So it says, don't worry. God, he's going to tread on the grapes. I'm going to do it alone. Adrechem, I will tread on them in my anger. And in my wrath. The Yez Nitzavim al-Begadim, and what is it? Their blood of victory will be on my garments. And all of my garments will be dirty. Why? Ki Yom Nakam, believe me, this is pretty severe stuff. Because Yom Nakam, there's a day of vengeance which is in my heart. V'shenat Geula, and the time of redemption, the year this Ba is coming. It's here. Isaiah said this about, what was it, 2,500 years ago. So, the time has to come soon. If the Moshiach comes now, he's 2,500 years late. So, any second is coming. The Abit, I will look. The Ein Ozer, no one will be able to help me, says God. I'm going to do it on my own. Ve'eshtomim ve'ein somech, and I will be like, it'll be like amazing, because there was no one that supported me. No one. Yep. Just one moment. Right. I looked around. No one saved. Just listen. Like in the 6-day war, right? So nobody helped. All of a sudden, the Arabs were surrounding us. They were all declaring war. They were armed to the teeth. They had the best, and nobody wanted to help us. No one whatsoever. And we did the whole thing ourselves. Everybody was just freaked out, totally. We did it. The whole world was just, amazed and just praising Israel and the God of Israel. And the Israeli government stepped in and cooled everybody off and said it wasn't a miracle. We just have really good pilots, and it was lucky shots, and they gave Jerusalem away. It says that my hand will be the salvation, and my anger, that's what's going to support me. That's my support. And it says, God, you're going to see, I'm going to do it all myself. Listen, in Israel, we have this amazing, good army, and the government just doesn't let us use it, right? Like I said, just, you can't believe it. A couple months ago, the enemy, we put these guys here. We gave them land and us. They shot 1,000 missiles at us, and we ignored it. Well, we still let them live there, no problem. We got this beautiful army, and they don't let them pull the trigger. Avu Samim, I will destroy nations in my anger, says God. We see that the Jews aren't doing it, so I'll do it. And I will make them drunk with my wrath. So that's one of the reasons we drink the 4 cups on Passover, is the 4 cups of wrath that God is going to feed the non-Jews. And believe me, whatever he does to our enemies. Now, this is not all the non-Jews. We're not talking about all the non-Jews. We're talking about only those Jews who actively oppose the Jewish people. Like I said, we say in the Aleinu prayer 3 times a day, we say that all of the evil people will turn to God. Yifnu elecha kol rishe oretz, all the evil people. So all these people that realize that, the only reason they hated the Jews is because that was just, everybody said that's what you're supposed to do. Hating the Jews is good. The United Nations condemns them. Why shouldn't I? I'm going to be different. So as soon as everybody sees that it was a big mistake, so most of the non-Jews, let's say 99.9% of them, whatever, will say, okay, listen, we made a mistake. We're dropping our religions. Like Jeremiah says, Sheker nachal avotenu, we realize our religions were false, and all this hatred of Jews and everything, it was all a big mistake, and it was a lie, and we're going to stop it. But there's always going to be a few that say, listen, I would rather die than this goody stuff, and everybody's going to have love and building and things like that. Here you see the Nazis, right? The Nazis were like really excellent geniuses at destroying people and killing people. They had the best weapons and bombs and rockets, and they prepared these things before the war even started, right? And war started. Like I said, how many times do I have to say it? But they killed 25 million Russians for absolutely no reason, just attacked them. And they were great at it. They did it with tremendous gusto and motivation, and when the freezing weather set in, they just, to the last man, they were fighting to the end and freezing. They just wanted to destroy or be destroyed. So a type of people like that, they don't want this peace in the world and building and friendship and love. But that's a very big minority. The Orid, the Oretz, Nitzcham, and it will bring their lifeblood down to, this is the Nitzcham, is their blood. I will spill their blood on the ground. Chastei Hashem, the kindness of God. See, where does this end over here? I think it ends at the 11th sentence, right? No, the 8th sentence. Yeah, 2 more sentences. Here we go. Chastei Hashem askir tehila Hashem. The God, this is now Isaiah speaking. The kindness of God I will proclaim, and the praise, and the I will praise. Ka'al kol asher gomalanu Hashem, on all that Hashem has done for us. Here we see the Jewish people still exist, huh? They've been trying to destroy us. How do we say in the night of Passover? Omdim aleinu l'chalatenu, v'kodesh baruch hu, dor v'dor, omdim aleinu l'chalatenu. All the generations, the nations have been trying to destroy us. We've been scattered all around, and everybody hates us. They got kicked out of England. They got kicked out of Spain. They got kicked out of Portugal. They got kicked out of Italy. They got kicked out of France. Jews got kicked out of, evicted and destroyed and raped and murdered. They had these pogroms in Russia. They were always pushing them from one place to another. Nevertheless, the Jews still exist. V'rav tov lebeit Yisrael, and it will be a tremendous good to the Jewish people. Asher gomalam baracham, that God gave us with His great mercy and with His tremendous kindness. Huh? How much have we suffered under the church? How much with the Inquisitions and the Crusades and the incredible. Vayomer, and he will say, 1 second, 1 minute. Yes, that's right. Okay, Vayomer, and he will say, yes, Vayomer, and God will say, Ach Ami, Hema, these are my people. God will say, Banim, my sons, Lo Yishakeru, and they will never be false again. They will never, leave me again. Vayehi lehem l'Moshiach, and I will provide for them with a Savior. I'll provide them with the Moshiach that will come and save the Jewish people. I love the Jewish people, etc. And just one, even though this is the end, this is not in this week's. Oh, maybe it is. One second. Yes, yes. I'm sorry. It's not in. Not this is the end. This is the last sentence. But called Sorotam Lo Tsar, in all of the pain of the Jewish people, all the time that they've been suffering, Lo Tsar, God was also in pain, so to speak. God was suffering with them. You can also say Lo Tsar, in others, in all the pain and all the suffering the Jewish people suffered, inside of that was a point where there wasn't any pain, where it was purely good for the world. How this is going to be, the Moshiach will show. Umalach panav Hoshiam, and the God will provide an angel to save them. To save them. Let me just I went over this, but I just don't want to make a mistake here. Here it is. That's right. Save them. Angel was to save them, right? The Jewish people have survived all this opposition and torture from the church and from the enemies and this. Because God's great love and His great mercy, He redeemed them. Everyone will say it was God that did it. And God will pluck them up, and elevate them. Call Yamei Olam, above all of the days of the world. Or they will say that in the future, they will say it was God that was really lifting them up all of the days of the world up to now. It was in the time of exile. What kept the Jews going? Everyone will see the only thing was that God was protecting them all the time. Always protecting them. Okay, if you ask me, it could have been a little less trouble, but nobody asked me. We'll see, in fact, in the end, that all of the trouble and all the difficulty will be all transformed to blessings and good. Now let's learn a little bit of Pirkei Avot, Ethics of the Fathers.